What's up, everyone? Zariel here for another Yu-Gi-Oh! 101 discussion video. This is the second one I did in a row today. Man, I'm on fire. But yeah, um, in this discussion video, we're going to be talking about the July 2014 Limited and Forbidden list, also better known as the ban list amongst the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community. And I'm going to be speaking on, cards. Well, this isn't necessarily a predictions video, but more so as a reaction to others' predictions. Because with me, I don't do prediction videos anymore. Because for 2 years straight, I did prediction videos, and it's gotten to the point now where I realize that Konami's going to do whatever makes them money. And I've stated this in previous videos, but they've become so unpredictable, which in many cases, especially the few um, formats, like the last few formats, they've been really unpredictable in a very positive way. They took out the cards that should have been taken out, and they thought ahead. And I gave them props for that because normally prior to doing that, they haven't been known to do things like that, like ever. So it's gotten to the point now where when I was making my prediction videos and the upcoming format arrived, the cards that were on the ban list, or rather the cards that should have made the ban list, didn't make it, and the cards that were on there should not have been on there as soon as they were on there. You know what I mean? It was just too soon to get rid of them. So it's to that point where I'm looking at it from the perspective of, you have when I did my ban list prediction videos, it was the common sense. I I had approached it from the common sense of competition, and Konami approached it from the common sense of business. And the common sense of business is always going to override the common sense of competition. Yeah, for the sake of competition, it may make sense for these cards to remain in the game, or to bring these cards back, or to not put these cards back into the game, rather. But the business common sense, which is Konami, may say, okay, which cards can we make money off of, and which cards can we take out, which cards do we leave in that can make it seem like we give a fuck about the competition, but we're really trying to make money, and which cards are going to give us the most money this time around. So based on that, I just gave up on trying to do prediction videos. But talking to people on various forums, Yu-Gi-Oh, Wiki, Pojo forums, even on Dueling Network, you have people who make these ridiculous predictions, and they don't even make sense. And I've written down a list of cards and the reasons why those people, why the list of reasons that said people have said why these cards should be banned, why they should be limited, semi-limited, or unlimited, or what have you, why these certain cards should come off the ban list. And this is what I'm gonna base this video off of their predictions, and why I feel it's either good, bad, or just plain idiotic. Now, I've mentioned this prior in previous videos years and years ago, that if you're going to make a ban list prediction video for Yu-Gi-Oh, then you need to make sure that the predictions make sense. And this is the number one principle that just eludes people. And I mean all of them. Because they're too much of a fanboy. They're too much of, oh, I want things to be my way, and they're not looking at it from the sake of competition. They're looking at it from the sake of themselves. You know, like, oh, I like this build. They banned these cards from a build that I like, and now I want them to come back. That's not how the game runs. That's how the game never was ran. You know, it's just, you can't have a conversation with these people. If we're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh, you can't have a conversation with these people because they just do not have the proper intelligence to make accurate predictions when it comes to the competitive aspects of Yu-Gi-Oh. So, just to kick things off, one of the predictions, and this was from a guy on Dueling Network that really pushed me to make this video. He mentioned that the babies or the baby E-Dragons need to make a return. And then I responded to him. Why do you feel the babies need to make a return? He told me that because, well, the adults are limited. That was his reason. Because the adults were limited. And that, well, like the game has Midrash now. I'm just like, okay. So your reasons for bringing cards back into the game that were banned for a legitimate reason were because Midrash is a fusion monster in the Shadow archetype that limits the number of special summons that your opponent can do. Which sounds like a good idea, but you have to understand that you can't make predictions based on cards that were banned for a certain reason. And if those reasons still exist in the game as legal cards to use, then those cards won't be coming back. Now, of course, like I said earlier, Konami pretty much can do whatever the hell they want. They're going to do anything based on business. And for the sake of competition, it doesn't make sense to bring these cards back. But for the sake of business, it may make sense for them to, you know, bring those cards back in. But competitive wise, if we're talking about common sense based on competition, it makes no fucking sense for these cards to come back in. If they banned them because they were too good with the adults, and the adults by themselves were good when they first got introduced, then what makes you think that they're going to bring the babies back? You know what I mean? Like, what makes you think that they're going to bring them back? And just because the adults are limited doesn't give you reason enough to bring those babies back into the game, because the adults are so efficient. They're very hard to get rid of. Very hard. I mean, they banish themselves from the fucking graveyard. They have effects that activate when they get banished, if I'm not mistaken. Then they special summon the hell out of everything. You can discard them from the hand to special summon them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a bunch of... There's literally little to no way to get them off the fucking field or to take them out the game. With normal cards, you know, either you can banish them or just send them to the graveyard, and that's pretty much the most that you would have to worry about them for the rest of that duel. You know what I mean? You can't do that with the E-Dragons. The E-Dragons are literally just, you know, banish, graveyard, discard, special summon, and it's the same cycle. You can't get rid of them. They literally made the perfect field advantage archetype with that. You know, because you can't get rid of the damn cards. What can you do? You can bounce them back to the deck. You know, that's probably a possibility. You know, but that's, I mean, it's only so many cards in the game that can bounce cards back to the deck, that it's not enough builds out there that can make the E-Dragons so little of a threat that they can bring those cards back in full. You understand? In Midrash, even though it prevents your opponent from doing multiple special summons and things like that, you got to think about it like this. The E-Dragons have effects that can take Midrash off the field. So that's one problem that they've already solved. So I just eliminated every reason that you had to bring back the elemental dragon babies. It makes no sense to bring them back as long as the adults are still a threat, because you give them 1 inch of vitality, as someone mentioned, they're going to take over. And it's not hard to make an E-Dragon build these days. The only reason why people are not playing them is because they're not at the level that they were once at. And it's like people, when they don't have something the way that it once was, they give up on it. That's the average state of mind in Yu-Gi-Oh! So because they limited the adult dragons and they're not broken as they once were, then they're not worth playing. And that's the idiotic mentality of the majority of people in Yu-Gi-Oh! These days. You know, it's not broken, it's not overpowered, so therefore it's useless. So that's the dumb shit. Another prediction someone had was to get rid of Dark Hole, and their reason was just because that, you know, it's the last of the power spells from yesteryear. I kid you not. I wish I would have took pictures of all of these excuses so that you guys can see them, because you know, I like to have proof of every damn thing. I don't know, like it's just Emmy, but that was their reason. You know, it's the last of the power spells, and you know, but it's still powerful enough to ban it. Like, what is the reason to get rid of Dark Hole? Just because every other card, pretty much every other card that was in Dark Hole's class got banned, and all of a sudden, you know, okay, well, you banned every other card in the class, you know what I'm saying, why not ban, you know, Dark Hole too? You know, like it sounds like jealousy. And going back to that E-Dragon guy, he literally straight up and down called me a pathetic loser because I spoke out against, you know, the babies being, you know, brought back into the game. He literally said, "You don't want the babies. The adults are limited. The babies should come back. You sound like a pathetic loser." And my response to him was, "You sound like a butthurt E-Dragon user who lost his dragon and you want your drag queens back." That's exactly what people sound like. Because it was so many E-Dragon builds going around. I rival that with the popularity of the Inzectors and the Wind-Ups when they were running rampant. You know what I'm saying? Like when they were going wild, when they were at full power, the ridiculous that shit was, that was a bad format. But damn, I think the E-Dragons kind of rival that just for the fact that it's more dangerous. Like an E-Dragon build is more dangerous than a wind-up build. Being that wind-ups, they eliminated the opponent's entire hand before the match even got started, you know, and put you at such a disadvantage to the point where it's like your next draw had to be a good card, otherwise you lost. And the E-Dragons, that shit don't matter to them because they banished themselves from the graveyard. They, you know, they do too much. They do too much. I'm surprised they didn't get rid of every goddamn E-Dragon. You know, but I guess they wanted to be fair and try to limit them and try to see what they were going to do. So, but getting back to Dark Hole, I know I got kind of sidetracked there for a minute, but just because other cards in that same category ended up getting banned does not mean that this card should be banned. That's never reason enough for that to happen. You have to look at what's currently happening in the game. You have to see, okay, is this card actually that big of a threat to where it needs to go? And truth be told, you know, Dark Hole is not that big of a threat. It's just a card that can aid in help turning the tides of the duel into your favor, you know. And it's to the point now where Dark Hole really isn't a threat because you have so many monsters and so many card effects that prevents your monsters from being destroyed by battle. And then on top of that, you have cards that use being destroyed by card effects as means to activate other effects. You see what I'm saying? And I just don't see how it's that big of a threat to where it needs to go. Again, common sense of competition. I just don't see it. So that's one thing. Another thing was, which I thought was a pretty good one, was Madolce Hoot Cake and Angeli. Now these two cards I think are actually going to get hit. I don't know how many they're going to get hit, but just with the motif of the Madolches and how they operate, Hoot Cake is pretty much an unlimited, you know, special summon catalyst. Now, I don't think Hoot Cake needs to be banned or anything like that. Maybe, limited at the most, but I don't think it needs to go. I don't think it's so much of a problem. Angeli, I can see it being semi-limited, but I don't see it being that big of a threat either. I mean, really the biggest issue with the Madolche builds is that they end up getting Tiramisu out and then they just bounce everything. You know what I'm saying? Like they just bounce things. It's almost as bad as what's the name of that fucking dragon? Uh, it was one of the ice dragons. I think his name was Trishula. Yeah, that was the name of the dragon. And kind of like what they did with that card. You know, it's like it just, well, not necessarily as bad as that because Trishula targeted three different zones: the hand, the graveyard, and the field, which was fucking ridiculous. And then somebody came up with a damn loop of the shit. That's what really tripped me out. Like, how the fuck did you come up with a loop with this? And then repeatedly target the graveyard, the hand, and I mean, that was like wind up loop. You know, that was like three times as bad as the wind up loop. But again, uh, not meaning to get sidetracked. Um, I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to say in regards to it, but yeah, I don't see Angeli or Hoot Cake. I think something needs to happen to them, and I do think they need to be hit because those are pretty much the engines that cause Tiramisu to get on the field and do all that repeated bouncing. When the proper cards are in place, that bouncing gets out of hand. So slow them down, because I think if we're gonna make the game fair, quote unquote, then for the sake of competition, yeah. But that remains to be seen. So next up are the hands. Now this is something that I absolutely think needs to happen. Those hands need to be fucking stopped in their fucking tracks right now. It's a repeated, get destroyed by card effects and destroy the monster that destroyed it. You know, and they get an unlimited amount of summons between the two. Is that put fire hand or ice hand, and then you summon the next one, and then you destroy your opponent's monster in the process. It's just repeated, 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 repeated. And the other things that happen with it, if you guys seen this deck in action, whew, boy, don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on it. Like, I'ma just, if you haven't seen it, thank God you haven't seen it, or thank God that you haven't went up against it. That's all I'm gonna say with that. Next up is one that I didn't really think about, but somebody mentioned that out of all things, Royal Tribute needs to get banned. And I'm just looking at it like, Royal Tribute? When was the last time anybody has even touched that card? You know? Like, I could see them doing it if it's like like a new wave of cards that can probably take advantage of Royal Tribute or something like that. I could see them banning it, but really, nobody has nobody has even bothered to touch Royal Tribute to do anything. So it's one of those things where it's like, whatever. Like, do you really need to ban a card that nobody is even bothered to touch? A card that's just sitting around collecting dust? It's not a threat at all because nobody is. I mean, I don't see how it was a threat before. It's just not like the attention isn't even on it to even do anything. You know what I mean? So I don't see how that was a good prediction at all. Like that just came out of left field. Like you might as well just ban fucking the kid absorbing the sky or some shit like that. Like you might as well ban fucking fucking cards like Shape Snatch or something like Winged Weaver. You know what I mean? Like it's just not a card that somebody is paying enough attention to, and it's not being used to the point where it's a threat. So if it's not being seen as a threat and nobody's paying any attention, then why would anything happen to it? So that one was weird. So I don't think anything's gonna happen to them or the Royal Tribute. Okay, next up, someone had said that rekindling needs to get banned because you know the levels have soul charge now, and they don't want them to have that. Like they don't see the reason why soul charge and rekindling needs to be in existence. I mean, maybe, but I haven't seen a lava deck or any fire attribute build that ran both rekindling and soul charge. Not saying that it can't happen, but I don't see like if they did do anything to rekindling or soul charge. Like I think it's more likely to happen to soul charge than rekindling. Um, well, no, I take that back because soul charge is still new and they still want to make their money off of soul charge. So something may happen to rekindling instead. Um, it's one of those things that like, I just don't. I don't know. Like if anything happens to one of the two, I think it's more likely to happen to it's more likely to happen to rekindling than soul charge because they still want to make their money off of a card that's still relatively new. Like they wouldn't ban it so early, even though they've been known to do that with previous cards. They don't want to ban it too early. Um, Next up, another card that they predicted was it was one of the Gears. I think it was Gear Armor. Either Gear Armor or it was Gear. Either one. I can't say for sure if this is a good or bad one, but I know for a fact that I just got this itching feeling. I just really feel that the Gears are going to get touched. I don't know what card in particular is going to get hit. I don't know which one, and I don't know what's going to happen to it, but it's going to get hit. It may get semi-limited, may get banned. I don't think the Gears are that big of a threat to where anything needs to get banned. Something may get limited, something may get semi-limited. I don't know, but I don't see the Gears being that big of an issue. But I know something's going to happen to them. I think that it's something going on with them. Like I haven't seen enough of it to really break down what it is exactly, but it's something, and I know something's going to happen to it. So, or something's going to happen to their archetype. So that's something. Another card that was up for prediction was Debris Dragon. Now, Debris Dragon is one of those cards where I can see it happening. I can see it, even becoming unlimited like it did in the OCG if they get rid of the right cards. Being that the rest of the Dragon Rulers get banned like they should have been. Because, again, with the Dragon Rulers, boy, I swear, like you give them an inch. Like I had paused the recording and I went to Dueling Network and I went to look at a couple of matches just to see what I can find out, you know. But just like I said, like I knew it was happening. I just, you know, wasn't 100% on everything that was going on with it. But I said that the Dragon Rulers, all the adults being limited, it doesn't stop them. You have more than enough Dragon cards to make up for that loss that they had. There are more than enough dragon cards going on, so you can fill those in with anything, and the dragon rulers are still run rampant. And it's still that situation where dragon ruler, where the if the rest of the dragon rulers get banned, then of course they can bring back debris dragon at 3, because I don't think that's going to be an issue anymore. Like, debris dragon hasn't been touched or bothered with for how long now? It's one of those things where it's just, forgive me if you can hear that background noise, people just being loud as fuck and rude as shit. I pretty much forgot my damn place. What the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, that's right. If the dragon rulers get banned, then let debris dragon come back. Uh, Next up is, out of all things, Dragon Ravine. Now I can understand, again, like, it's funny how like a good bit of these cards involve the dragon rulers getting banned again, like just completely banning all of them. If dragon rulers get banned, a lot of cards can come back into this game. You know, like the Sacred Swords of the Seven Stars. Like, people were making predictions that that card can possibly become unlimited, because truth be told, the only ones that were really using it to that extent were the dragon rulers. If you get rid of the dragon ruler, the adult dragon rulers, you know how many cards could literally make a comeback into this game? Dragon Ravine, Sacred Sword of the Seven Stars, which quite frankly I can use in my Gate Guardian build, because it pretty much needs more of those. So I guess for a reason like that, I guess I can say, hey, it'll be nice if it comes back. But I'm still looking at other cards to work on that. But um, what else? Yeah, Dragon Ravine is one of those cards. It helped a lot of dragon builds out there. And first off, you have to understand why Dragon Ravine was banned to begin with, because it was on its way out the door like before the Dragon Rulers even became a thing. Dragon Ravine was one of those cards where it caused this cycle, and people were using the Dragon Ravine engine to search out cards and do literally like 3 to 4 synchro summons a turn, and it got ridiculous. You know what I mean? And I don't think that Dragon Rulers are going to be a contributing factor to getting Dragon Ravine, you know, back into the game as it once was. I don't. I can't remember if it's banned. Hold on. I believe it did get banned, and they're making a suggestion that it gets limited. So I can see it getting limited as like a test run, just to see how much the the modern dragon builds can get away with. You know, what I'm saying, like I could see it getting a trial run, and the same thing with another card that had a prediction on it, Soul Charge, which people are saying needs to be limited. Again, it's a new card. I think it's too soon to just outright ban it, but you know, unlike some people have said, unlike Monster Reborn, which, truth be told, Monster Reborn was not that big of a threat. It never was. I mean, you could pick one card, be it your graveyard or your opponent's graveyard. It's not, the card by itself wasn't that big of a threat. It never really was, in my opinion. I just don't see it being that big of an issue. It's like you get to pick one card from your graveyard or your opponent's graveyard. You just didn't have to pay for it. It was only one monster. That was the only drawback. You know, with Soul Charge, regardless, if you want to be all technical and crap, you can use cards like Try and Guess to get your life points back. Granted that you have an extra deck to use, like to use it on. Um, you know, but then again, with Soul Charge, you have to pay 1,000 life points for every monster that you choose. Then you can't activate your battle phase, you know, and what I'm saying, like, there's a lot of negative drawbacks with Soul Charge, but people are using Soul Charge and they're gaining so much from the card that losing the amount of life points that they lose and not being able to conduct their draw phase doesn't weigh out the fact that they have such a field advantage, or they're gaining such a field advantage with the card. So I think that those two drawbacks are enough to maybe limit it, not outright ban it, because it is still a fresh card. Like, they're just not going to ban a new card that they're still trying to make money on. But just limiting the card, I think that's something that I can see happening, but maybe not so soon. Another thing that was interesting that somebody made a prediction about was the Primal Seed loop. Like, I've never seen a loop happen with the Primal Seeds. Uh, you know, since Blackluster Soldier been back, I've never seen like the loop in action. Like, I've never seen it. Like, people don't even pay attention to Blackluster Soldier, Twilight Soldier. People don't even pay attention to that damn card. Even though I know Primal Seed doesn't work with it. I mean, it's like one of those things where I don't know. Like, I don't see Primal Seed even being touched. I don't even see it being used. People see a potential loop. When has the loop ever happened? You don't see it at a YCS. I haven't seen it or heard about it being happening at a YCS. I haven't, you know, seen anything going on with it to where I feel, this should happen to it. It's it's again like, if nothing's happening with it, then why let it go? Unless there's some cards that may take advantage of it. Again, a new wave of cards that may be able to take advantage of it, or however that's going to happen. Considering Primal Seed only works with, you know, um, Blackluster Envoy of Beginnings and Chaos Emperor Dragon Envoy in. I don't see how the hell that's gonna work. How is that exactly? How the hell is that gonna work? I don't. You know. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the two cards. What the hell? Fuck you. Don't be popping up on my damn videos, man. But yeah, like, one of the cards don't. One of the cards doesn't even, you know, exist in the game anymore, and one is limited. So it's just like, how can a loop happen here? Another prediction, somebody said that Necroface needs to be uh, banned. Who the hell is using Necroface these days? Is Necroface a threat if nobody is using it? So why the hell would anything need to happen to it? I don't see where that needs to happen. So whatever. Uh, what else was it? Let me see here. Magician of Faith. Now, this was actually a pretty good one. Someone said this needs to be unlimited. Now, I give them credit for this one, because this is actually a pretty good, like, prediction, or even something for conversation. Because it's like, when Magician of Faith came back, people were ranting and raving, just like I said there would when I did my thoughts on the card coming back, and it was just like, people were just all excited, and then it didn't do shit, just like I said, because it's not a threat anymore. At this point in the game, the best you can hope for is maybe getting to use Dark Hold twice. That is it. Maybe, using 4 Swords of Revealing Light, but people barely touch that card anymore. Like, it's certain cards that it's certain builds in general that adding Magician of Faith just wouldn't make any sense to add to, because they have their own engines that work with the spell cards that they have, that you don't need to add, Magician of Faith in there, because it throws off the strategy of the build pretty much, because you may need that one extra card, then you draw Magician of Faith and you fuck yourself over because you added a card that you didn't need into the build. It's really like throwing something in a build that doesn't need it. So I don't see where Magician of Faith is even any threat anymore to where you can't unlimit this card now. Like Magician of Faith is like, they brought it back for a trial run. The trial run, I guess you can say, was a success, and it simply is not any threat whatsoever. It's one of those cards that Back in the day, it was good. Now, like we're living in a new era. It's not even half the threat that it once was. So it's like whatever. You know, you know. I say bring it back. It's not a threat anymore. Why bother? Another prediction was Sinister Serpent. Now, Sinister Serpent was banned long ago for you know its ability to recycle itself an infinite number of times, an infinite number of times, and bringing it back. I mean, maybe limiting it just to give it a trial run, just to see what can work with it. I personally can't see it at the moment, but it's pretty much unlimited hand fodder. I can see it being used maybe in like a heretic build and use like the heretic exceed, just to have something to tribute out your hand and send it to the graveyard. Um, and then constantly getting it back. That's one thing that comes to mind. But Sinister Serpent, I mean, it was banned for a reason long ago, and I don't know. Like, I really can't see that one happening. Like, I can't see that one happening too much. I mean, maybe it's not a threat, but I just can't see it happening. You know, I don't know. Another build was, well, not another build, but another card was Gladiator Beast Bestiari should get semi-limited. Uh, and the reason for this one was that the Gladiator Beasts do nothing anymore. Well, here's the thing. It's only a matter of time before they do. I mean, mind you, they got some new support that people, they haven't paid any attention to it yet, but it's like the only reason why they haven't is because these other builds are on top right now. So once these other builds disappear, trust me, they're going to do something again, and people are going to be bitching that Bestiari needs to go back to two, head back to one, and they're still a threat. Trust me, they're pretty much like a hidden threat. It's like nobody wants to acknowledge it just yet because nobody's paying any attention to it because all these other builds are more of a threat than they are. But trust me, once they, so like once the gears start turning on them, trust me, like they're gonna be, like a problem again. You know, so as far as that happening, no, I don't see that happening. I don't see Bestiari going to two. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, but like I said, I don't see it happening. Another one was Neospatian Grand Mole, and Grand Mole is a card that simply just bounces anything, any monster, So they said that it can go to two, and the reason for that was, and nobody's using it anymore, and the only deck that would use it if it goes to two would be quote unquote Rock Stun. Now, I don't see why anybody wouldn't run Grand Mole as like backup. You know, I mean, again, nobody's paying attention to it, of course, but the moment you give something good leeway, it's going to take over again. I don't see Grand Mole getting the two. Uh, Grand Mole is one of those cards where if it goes to two, people are going to gravitate towards it, and they're going to find new ways to use it. Trust me, and it's going to be an issue again, and it's always that situation. So nah, I don't see uh, Grand Mole doing anything. Uh, my my opinion with most of these cards are is that like they're only going to put so many cards on the ban list at a time. Like I don't remember where they just did like a massive amount of ban lists, uh, limitations and semi limitations and things like that. Um, all at once, like they only put oh so many on there at a time. So a lot of this stuff I just don't see happening. Like somebody said, Artifact Sanctum was another card that needed to get hit because it was a key card in the Artifact builds. And Artifact Sanctum to me it's not that big of a deal to where, you know, like the artifacts are using it oh so much. You got to understand that the artifacts today, well, the artifacts today, but the artifacts period are an archetype that completely can't do shit on their own. Like they need those aids in order to be any type of threat whatsoever. You have the archetypes, you have the artifacts. They're this build. They have to set themselves up as spells and traps first. Then they have to get destroyed via, well, then they have to get destroyed during your opponent's um, phase. During your opponent's turn in order to do anything. And it's really one of those things where it's just, it really goes from bad to worse. You know, like if you're not careful, then you're going to fuck up. And I don't see why this card needs to go at all. I don't see why it needs to be hit. It needs to help. It's needed in order to help the artifacts be any type of threat whatsoever at all. So yeah, man, it's just one of those things where I don't see anything happening to it. Like unless there's some rogue build out there that simply just ruins the shit out of it, or, out of the card, or just abuses it so much to where you feel like something needs to happen to it. I haven't witnessed anything like that yet, but yeah, I don't see anything happening to it. Just based on, again, the common sense of competition. I haven't seen anything happening with it. It's a card that's meant to aid in the build. It's just not that big of an issue to where I feel something needs to happen to it. So, that is something I can't see happening. Here's a wild card right here. Magician of Black Chaos, or Dark Magician of Chaos, needs to make a comeback. Needs to make a, yeah, it needs to come back as limited. I think it's just that Blackluster Soldier. They didn't really give a reason. I think it's just like that Blackluster Soldier jealousy again. Oh, Blackluster Soldier came back. Why can't you bring back this? Why can't you bring back Chaos Emperor Dragon? Why can't you bring back one of these other cards? Understand that these cards were banned for a fucking reason. If those reasons still exist in this game today, it would not make any sense for them to bring it back. And based on that logic, I don't see a reason why Dark Magician of Chaos needs to make a return. At least not in the foreseeable future. It's just not there. The reasons just aren't there. So that's pretty much all the predictions that I've seen other people make, and I hope this video was entertaining to you guys. And get rid of those fucking dragon rulers, please. Get rid of whatever little history they have left. Oh, and another prediction that I almost missed. Someone said that unlimit the babies if all the adults get banned. I don't know if I spoke on that, but if I don't see how the babies are too much of a threat. And truth be told, when I first seen the dragon rulers and when I seen them running rampant, one of my thoughts on it was that if you're gonna ban anything, ban all the adults. So I didn't see all the babies getting banned at all. So I feel, again, it's the common sense of competition versus the common sense of business. Like I said in the beginning of the video, business-wise, the money is in the adults. The money is in the adults. Business-wise, the money isn't in the babies, because truth be told, the babies were always used as a catalyst to get the adults on the field. And the E-Dragons could basically run themselves. And without that, they just... like the babies are nothing compared to the adults. So the adults were always the threat. And I always thought that the adults were going to get banned before anything else. You know, I thought the adults were going to get banned before the babies did. So it's just that situation where I don't see anything happening. So really, at the end of the day, man, it's one of those things where, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I don't do ban list predictions anymore, and it's one of those things where, you know, what happens is going to happen, and when the list actually comes out, when the official list actually comes out, not no leak list, not no anything like that, then I'm going to respond to it in kind and then make my assumptions and give you my thoughts on if it made sense to get rid of this or to limit this, semi-limit this, or ban that, or unlimit this, you know. So I think that's more reasonable than making a prediction or a like a typical prediction video, trying to figure out what's going to get thrown out or what's going to come back or what's going to get hit or what's going to get touched or whatever. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. You know, I had fun making it. Of course, we had a couple background distractions. Well, my vocab is fucked up. But yeah, it's not that much of an issue anymore. So again, thanks for watching. Peace, and I'll see you guys for another Yu-Gi-Oh! 101 video.